can. Legit? Oh,
Oh my
oh
God.
yeah, big time.
You're so lost right now? Yeah, this is the people.
Hello, people online. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, online. You hear me? Online, do you hear me? No, yes, no, no, yes, no. Oh, we hear you. Okay. Loud and clear. I like that. Thank you. Good. So, give me a second. Because, okay, so there is. So today we're going to talk about a cool subject. It's about practicing your scripts. Okay. Good? All right, so let's have fun with this. So practicing your scripts. You're good at this. You're good at this. I heard you. You're pretty good at this. Okay, so everybody has pen and papers? You don't have. Can I have pen and papers for Hamza, please? Guys? There's one. Oh, okay, it's here. Is that, oh, that was for him? All right, there you go. Okay, good. 2 rules. You guys are gonna talk all the time?
No.
Okay, good. Just want to be clear. Okay, so let's have fun, all right? So I'm getting old, so don't laugh. I have to wear my glasses now. 2 important rules. I want you guys to write them down. 2 rules. You have to understand that scripts, by the way, what are scripts? Anybody can tell me what a script is?
It's a structure.
Okay, that's good. Keep going.
It's questions, important
Well,
questions.
Yeah, well, in our case it is, but what is a script?
A guideline.
Basically, a script is a map. Okay? Think of it as a map. If you want to go from one place to another, you can sit in the car, start driving, and figuring out as you go along, right? And you can go right, center, left, highway, no highway, or you can find the fastest route from A to B based on certain criteria. So let's say you say, well, I want to drive, I don't want to get on the highway, okay, but I want to get from Montreal to Toronto. So I'll give you the map without highway to get from Montreal to Toronto. So it's a choice. What is a script? Well, that's the basics of it. The basics of a script is you will be doing something that you're not comfortable with. So maybe if you say to the script, well, look, I've never been to Toronto, I'd like to go. Now you ask your mom, you ask your dad, they're going to tell, well, you take the 30 or you take the 20 or you take the 401 or blah, blah, and they're going to give you all kinds of rules, right? Remember the old days? We had no GPS, right? Well, some people don't, I do, okay? We had to ask. We were always lost, we would always have to ask. A script is the fastest way to get from A to B. Now, you're not going to be comfortable with it because it's not your words. It's somebody else's words. Okay? But the more you say it, the more it becomes your words. So at one point, when you say something long enough, you start doing what? Believing it. Right? And then it becomes part of you. So when you're having a conversation, and it becomes natural in your conversation, now you're able to say it as if it was you who invented it, okay? So, 2 rules. In selling, there's 2 rules. Keep that in mind. There's only 2 rules. 1, you ask good questions to people you're talking to. Great salespeople don't talk. Great salespeople ask what? Questions. Why? Why do great people ask questions? Why is it so important to learn how to ask questions? Anybody can tell me why is it so important?
Learn about the person, the client, their needs.
Keep going.
You want a roadmap.
Yeah. Why is question so important?
To get the answer.
To get an answer. Gabe?
You want to be a good listener?
Yeah, that's the second step. Why is it important to ask questions? Why is it important to learn how to ask questions?
To give me trust.
Let me ask you something. If I ask you a question, who's answering?
Client.
The client.
The person in front of you, right? In this case, the client. When he's answering or she's answering, what does that do to you? So let's say I ask a question to Hamza and I say, Hamza, how is the road coming here to the office? How was it?
It's fast.
It was fast? And did you get any traffic?
No.
So which road did you take?
the Cavendish or the 520
Okay, and what time did you leave the house?
before 8 minutes.
For 8 minutes. So look, what did I learn? I learned that at that time when he left, there was no traffic on those streets. If I would have said to him, by the way, if you leave 8 minutes early, you'll be here on time. Now, look at the difference. If he says it or I say it, which one does he believe more? When he says. This is why it's important to ask questions. Asking questions will not only get you to get the person in front of you to understand what he's saying, but it gets you to see if they understand what you're asking. Okay, so let's say I wanted to ask Mike, I wanted to say, well, Mike, what did you do yesterday? Why? Okay, let's ask him a good one. Why are you in shorts?
It was the most accessible clothing that
Really?
that I had at the moment.
Interesting. So where were you?
I was at home.
So you only have shorts at home.
It was the most convenient possible.
It's the fastest one that you could pick.
It was the fastest, most convenient.
Okay. So now what do we know? We know that he had to rush. He wasn't well, you normally don't wear shorts.
Today is not a day that I have anything organized to meet anybody, so I
So you
decided
took a break.
took a little
Okay. So you see, when you do ask a question, you get to understand their mindset too. If you're talking with a client and you're talking, where's their mind? By the way, do you know how many questions I've asked you so far? In like 5 minutes? If anybody was following, it's at least 30 questions. Why do I do that when I train you? By the way, that's another 31. Why do I do that?
because you're a good salesperson.
Yeah, but that's not the point. Why do I do that to you right now? I'm not selling. Am I selling you on anything? Yes, I am. What am I selling you on?
To make a relationship.
But what am I selling you right now on? I'm selling you on learning. So if I talk, remember when you used to go to school, there were some classes you would just sleep? Which ones were they? Blah, 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 blah. We sleep. But the ones that were interactive, you would not sleep. When the teacher would come and ask you questions and just, hey, what is it, that becomes interactive. And then you say something and somebody says, well, I don't believe that. Okay, because that becomes interesting and the teacher becomes interesting. You are that teacher in that transaction. You could be the boring one or the one that they're listening to. Guess what? They're listening to you when you ask questions. They're not listening to you when you're talking. So great salespeople don't talk. Great salespeople ask a lot of what? Questions. So you wrote that down. So that's number one. Most important rule. Two very important rules. Number one, asking good questions to people that you're talking to. Number two, you said it earlier. Shut your mouth and listen to the answer. What do we do normally? What happens? We ask a question. So Hamza, how is the road here? Oh, by the way, there wasn't a lot of traffic, right? No.
Don't interrupt.
Don't interrupt the thinking. And if the person, by the way, if the person is not answering and they're just like that, that's a personality type. That's the analyticals. Okay, the analyticals don't want to say, and the amiables for two different reasons. They don't want to say something out loud before they have thought about it. So Hamza is analytical. So when he's going to answer slowly, and he's going to be thinking before he answers, right? I just met him, but I know how he is already. Why? Because you get to learn from a lot from the way people answer. The amiables won't answer very quickly. The amiables will take their time to answer too, for other reasons. They don't want to hurt the person in front of them. The analyticals don't want to be wrong. The amiables don't want to hurt anyone. The drivers will answer very quick, very fast, one word. The expressive will just talk. They won't stop talking. Okay? So it gives you a lot of indication on who's in front of you. So when you're asking the right questions, you're learning about the person in front of you when you shut your mouth and listen. Okay? I'll give you something that happened to me when I used to work for Bell many, many years ago. It was my first job in a big company. I think I was still in I was 22. So I used to work at the sales department over the phone. And one person told me this. Remember that. If you ever have the chance to remember this, he said to me, every time you ask a question, finish it with, interesting, and shut your mouth. So I would ask something like, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, why, or not seller at that time, it was client, why did you take that service? And they would say something. He said, you just say, oh, that's interesting. And just shut up. I said, well, that's so uncomfortable. He says, I know. Somebody's have to talk. I said, yeah. He says, the client will talk. If you shut your mouth, the client will talk. And guess what? They'll feel like, sometimes they're like, are we cut off? No, I'm just listening to you. And then they would say something else. The third time, you get the real reason. If you can do that, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. I'm telling you, you know how I used to do it? I used to put myself on mute. That's how hard it was. Because I want to mute, right? So it's very hard, but I'm telling you, this helps a lot because you get to understand, what's going on in their mind. Or you could say something like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Why else? And shut it. Okay? So when you learn how to listen to the answers, it gives you a lot of juice. When you're asking open-ended questions to somebody, so open-ended question, there's 3 types of questions, guys. Write them down, 3 types of questions. Question number 1 is the open-ended questions. These are the questions that start with who, why, where, how, what. I'm missing one.
Who, what, where, why.
Yeah.
When.
Thank you. Okay. So there's 6. I say 5. They're called 5, but they're actually 6. Okay. When you start with these words, this is to give you a general guideline on where their thought process are. So you say something like, well, Mr. Seller, I'm interested to know. So when you do sell your home, where would you be moving to? When you sell, so it starts with when. Now that's an open-ended question. Well, we're going to move to Vancouver. Okay, so you can go with the other question, or you could ask more. Say, okay, interesting, Vancouver. Why? What is that? That's an open-ended question. Why did you choose Vancouver? Just curious. Well, we chose Vancouver because my wife's, mother lives in Vancouver, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's interesting. So, how did you, what kind of home are you looking for in Vancouver? That's another open-ended. So now you're listening, right? The open-ended questions are the questions that are going to give you an idea on where each person is in their thought process. So you'll understand. If I ask certain questions to Gabriel, I'll see where Gabriel is, where I have a big map. Where is it? Is he in the south, in the north, in the east, where's his thought process? Imagine it as a big map, Canada, right? Take Canada. Say, there's east, west, north, south. Right? Now, when I ask open-ended questions, I know where he is. Oh, he's in the northeast of Canada. Oh, okay. Near Labrador. Gee, that's far. I need to bring him to Montreal. Or I need to bring him to Toronto. I need to bring him to Vancouver. I'm not saying the physical plot. I'm saying where do I need to bring that person in the conversation. So the second type, this is the open-ended question. Remember that open-ended questions are the questions where you ask a lot of them just to see, where is Stephanie in her thought process? What is she thinking? Where is she at? What is she looking for? Now that you have a global idea on her thought process, you want to bring her from that position to this position. Okay? And these are called directional questions. Write them down, directional questions. These questions are the questions that you will ask to create a direction for the conversation. So I asked Stephanie, where, why did you buy this house? Where are you moving to? How many kids do you have? What are you looking for in your new home? Blah, 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 blah. These are the open-ended questions she's talking. Now I understand that Stephanie, she wants to sell her home in Beaconsfield and move to Ahansik because it's closer to the school where her kids are going. Okay, now I gotta bring to understand, okay, so where is she in her thought process? I know what she wants. How much does she want for her property? She wants a certain amount of money, and I know it's not worth that. Right? But can I tell her it's not worth that? Well, I could. What's that going to do?
Resistance.
I'm going to be right, and she's going to be what? Wrong. Anybody want to be wrong here? No. Okay. You could be right and poor, or you could be wrong and rich. Which one do you prefer?
Wrong and rich.
Wrong and rich. So how can I be wrong and rich? Well, she has to be right. So how can I make her right but still get my price? It's a lot of fun. Sales is a lot of fun. Okay? That's a directional question. So these are the questions that I'm going to say something like, well, that's interesting, Stephanie. You would like to receive $900,000 for your property. It is a beautiful property. I agree. Can I ask you how you came up with this number? And now I'm trying to understand her thought process about what? Pricing. Well, the neighbor, she sold at $1 million, and it's not a bigger home. It's almost the same size. So we want to sell fast at 900. The damn thing's worth 700. I'm not going to tell her it's worth 700 because if I say, is she listening when I talk? Is she listening? What did I teach earlier? They're not. She has to say it's worth 700. So how do I get her to tell me, Fadi, it's worth 700,000? Though she wants 900 right now. These are the directional questions. So these are questions such as you give them options. You give them option A, option B. So you say, well, Stephanie, let me ask you this. So you're saying that you would like to list the property at 900. No problem, we could do that. Can I ask you a question now? When would you like to be, and now it's still open, when would you like to be in Ahansik? I'd like to be there in 3 months. Okay, interesting. So now I'm giving options. So if you were to move to Ahansik, would you A, rather keep your home, or B, sell your home? Typically, which one do they want? They don't want both. They wouldn't call you if they wanted both. So what am I giving her? I'm not really giving her two choices. I'm giving her one choice. But it's camouflaged as a two-choice option. Because she could say, well, we don't really care. We could keep the home. I would say, okay, great, Stephanie. How about you, Hamza? This is her husband. Would you rather keep also the home? And they say yes. Oh, now I have another dilemma. They don't want to reduce their price. They'd rather keep the home. What is my job? My job is to demonstrate to them, again through questions, what it is to keep two homes. How much does it cost? How long do they need to keep it? And so I would say something like this. I would say something like, that's interesting. So you'd rather keep the home if we don't get 900,000, correct? That's a yes and no answer, right? You guys see me? So I took a direction and then a yes and no. Oh yeah, we're okay with that. How long do you want to keep the home? How many years would you rather keep the home until you get 900,000? So I reopened now. I transferred from open-ended question, directional question, yes and no, and going back to open-ended. So I could understand where their mindset is. It was here that it shifted a little bit. Well, what do you mean, Fadi? What do you mean how many years? Well, right now, the biggest home that ever sold in your neighborhood that's equivalent to yours is 700,000, and you're telling me you rather not sell until you get 900,000. Is that correct? Yeah. Am I telling them anything so far? What am I doing? I'm just repeating what they're saying and just clarifying it. Yes, that's correct, Fadi. So how many years are you willing to wait until you get 900,000? I'm not telling them they're wrong about the price. They're correct about the price. Maybe it's the time that's not correct. Maybe it's no longer today, because now there's nobody selling at that price. But maybe in 3 years it would be. Well, Fadi, hold on a minute. Well, we're willing to wait a few months. Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think that the market can go up by 200,000 in 2 months? Is that logical? It happened not too long ago, but will it happen again? And the interest rate going up, do you think that's feasible? Look at my face. Do you think that's feasible? Well, maybe not. Okay, so what price won't you accept below? So now I'm having a conversation about price. You follow me? So you have 3 types of questions. Remember them. The open-ended questions is to understand where their thought process is, where they are. And that you could reshape it all the time and ask more questions, right? Directional questions is to get them to talk to you and give you what you want to hear from their mouth. So you give them 2 options, option A, option B. So would you rather have to remain with 2 homes, or would you rather sell that one and move to another? Well, I'd rather sell. But if I don't get priorities, I'm not going to sell. Okay, that's fair. Now we're having another conversation. You understand? So you have 3 types of questions. What are they? Open-ended
Direction.
and closed. Yes and no. Okay? Good. So now, with regards to scripts, let's go back to the scripts. So obviously, if you understand our scripts, the scripts of Mike Ferry are purely question-based. They're all question-based. Okay? So one of the things, if you really, really want to become great at those scripts, if you really want to master those scripts, if you really want those scripts to become you need to do 2 things. Write them down. Number 1, the amount of time you spend daily on practicing your scripts. Hamza is a coach of tennis. I don't play tennis. I'd like you to teach me, by the way. Yeah, I'd love to learn how to play tennis.
You do it.
I will definitely learn. Yeah, I'll listen to you and I'll try to do my best. Yeah, but let me ask you an honest question. Now, and you're on the Federation of the Tennis of Tunisia, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see the pros of Tunisia playing tennis. Let me ask an honest question. So these pros, how many hours do they practice a day?
The professional one.
Professional,
Between 6 and 8.
per day?
Yeah.
Per day? Per day?
Yeah.
8 hours?
Between 6 and 8.
6 and 8?
It's not like.
That's amazing.
It's not like continuity.
No, they will do maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, then
They
they'll
make like 3 hours in the morning. After that, 4 hours. Between 6 and.
and 8 during the day.
Yeah. If you talk about the.
Yeah, I'm talking about the pros, the real pros, the ones that.
Like Nadal before the least hour they practice like 8 hours.
Nadal is a minimum of 8 hours. How many hours do you guys practice your scripts? You get it? You understand something here? Pros practice. It's good that you're saying this to me, because I went once to a hockey practice, Habs, Canadians practice. I was blown away. Okay, the coach, that was about maybe 7 years ago, maybe a bit more. The coach was not their head coach, but the ice coach was there with them. I don't remember who it was. Who was the head coach about 7, 8 years ago? The French dude. But they were doing the same play. They did the same play. Okay, so they did the play, and he said, "Do it again." And then they did it again, and then he says, "Do it again." I'm looking like, it's the same fucking play. Like it's 2 passes and a shot. pass, shot, pass, it's the same, pass, and same players, pass, shot, pass, and I'm like, it's going in like, I'm looking at the shot, and the shot is going right in the same spot in the net. What is he doing? What he was doing basically is he was building, not the play, but building the actual memory of their muscles for that specific play. If it happens on the ice, it'll be boom. It may not happen on the ice, but if it does, it'll be perfect. That's why these guys practice 8 hours. See, the pros practice all the time. So if you want to become an expert at being able to talk to a physical or an expired or center of influence, you need to do two things. One is the amount of time you spend practicing per day. You got to decide that. You have to decide that. Sit down, read it, literature, smile, do it in front of a mirror, whatever you need to do, practice it. Number two, it's the intensity. Okay, it's in the intensity that you do it at. So you could say, hello, Mr. Seller. My name is Fadi Kaouk, and I work for RLPDQ. How much intensity is that? 0, negative, all right? Or you could be realistic, just push it. So the intensity and the amount. So when Nadal practices 8 hours a day, I guarantee you he doesn't do it. Those 8 hours, I can't even imagine what they are, okay? It must be so intense. Why do they do that? You guys know why Nadal or any other professional sports player very intensely practice?
To habitualize it.
Yeah, much more than that, actually. Why do they actually do that? Why they're so intense when they're practicing?
Because they can afford.
Because the game becomes easy. Think about it. If you practice so hard and then you have the game is easier. It has to be easier. You have no choice but to have an easier game. I'm not saying he's going to be easy on himself, but the game becomes easier because that 2 or 3 hours that he's going to be playing, or whatever long it is, it's about an hour and a half, right? Yeah, typical game. Yeah. Yeah. So if it's not so natural, he's going to injure himself. It's for the injury. They don't want to have an injury during the game. So what they do is they practice and practice and practice with a lot of intensity. So imagine this, okay? You're practicing your script and practicing it strong, and then you have a client in front of you that's never heard your script. He's going to look at you and say, okay, what do I say? Because he's not used to it. Because your competition doesn't practice. Your competition goes and talks. Right? But you've practiced, it's question-based, you understand their thought process, you're talking to them, you're smiling, it's natural. Why is it natural? Because you've done it so many times. Following? So, the two things, the amount of time you spend daily and the intensity of the time you are spending. Okay? So, so let me ask another question. So if I look at the Canadians, okay, let's look at the Habs. Let's take any player. Let's say Suzuki, okay? How many minutes a game does it? Anybody here knows a little bit about hockey? Yeah. Okay. So I don't know, how many minutes typically would he play in a game? In a full game. 20 minutes? It's 3 periods of 20. I don't think he plays more than 1/3.
Yeah.
So let's say 20 minutes.
Then you go on and off like 30 seconds at time maximum.
Yeah, exactly. They don't like it's on and off, and then there's 2 or 3 rotations or 4 rotations. But he's not going to play more than 20 minutes total. And they play 80 games a year? So 80 times 20, he plays 1,600 minutes. Right? So how many hours is that? 60, be like 40 hours in a whole year?
Yeah.
Imagine that. Okay, so this guy's paid millions of dollars to play 40 hours. That's it. He plays just 40 hours in a whole year. Isn't that crazy? But how many hours does he practice? 60 at least a week. Right? So that's how you got to look at it. So imagine if you were actually practicing 60 hours, your scripts and the objection handlers, and how to answer that objection, how to answer that objection, how to answer that objection, and how to learn about personalities, how to talk in a different language with A and B that are married together. She's amiable and she's analytical. How do I have that conversation? And their father beside them who's the driver. How do I get them all to understand my language because they don't talk the same language? See, these are things that you need to work on. There's a lot of stuff to work on in this business. So you need to have a clear schedule of practice. Okay? So create a plan. Create a plan. Say, okay, you know what? My job is to do 1 hour a day to do this. And the other day is to do that. And the other day is to do that. For some of you that know already, back in 2016, when I was selling real estate at very high volume, I wanted to get more money without working more hours. So my coach and I worked on something. And I said to him, I said, I don't want to call more than 42 people. And that was my number. That was the number I was prospecting every day. And I wanted to grow my business by about 10%. So I was doing at that time about 100 deals a year. Me alone, me and Chris were working a bit together. And I didn't want to put in more time. I really didn't want to put in more time. And I was very low on staff. I didn't have any buyer's agent. I really didn't want to invest more money or time. But I wanted to grow my net income by 10%, which is, a pretty decent number. So what we did is we analyzed my business and we analyzed that my expires, the properties that I take on as listings that expire are roughly the same thing as the market. So let's say at that time it was about 20%. So let's say I take 100 listings, 20 of them will expire and 10% I will cancel. So I would sell, let's say 70, out of 100. So how do I get from 70 to 77 or 80? How do I get 10 more deals done without working more? So what we realized is, why am I the same as the industry? So the industry had a 20% expiry rate, and I was at 20%. What does that tell you?
The way that you're working the prices or reducing their prices.
It was all about price. Now, what sells a property? Price. Anything else? No, not really. There's not even, the really doesn't even count. It's price. Either you're priced right or you're not. If you're priced right, it's going to sell. If it's not priced right, I don't care how much marketing you could do. It's not going to sell. Okay? Think of it. Once somebody told me about a gas station. That was a funny one. I sent it in the group. I don't know if you saw it. So you say to a client, you say, oh, listen, Mr. Client, when they say you're not doing enough marketing, and it's about price, right? So they say, I saw that you have a beautiful car outside, so how much is this thing taking gas? Well, 50 liters. Okay, how much is that? At $100. Oh, interesting. So if you are driving down and you see two gas stations, one of them is priced at $1.60, the other one is $2.75, but has a lot of balloons and a clown running around, would you go there? No. Why not? Well, because it's not going to make a difference. So the price is important. Yeah. And go back to the price. Because in reality, marketing doesn't do shit. Okay? And I'm a marketing major. I'm telling you, in this business, it's price. So that's what I realized. I realized that my pricing was not as aggressive as it should be. For 6 months, the only thing I worked on, the only practice I worked on, my plan was to learn every single trick in the book about pricing. And that got me much more than 10% net with no additional work. Actually, less work. You know why?
They're selling in a week.
They're selling fast. When you list a property and it's sold after 2 weeks, it's much better marketing for me. For sale, sold. That's nice marketing, right? The other great marketing is, what does the seller want? He wants you to sell the damn thing. Isn't that great marketing for him? Is he going to be referring me better clients, right? So you have to understand that if you want to be great at something, you have to understand where you're lacking to work on it. And so you have to have a clear plan on education, on scripts. Okay, so put yourself in. Choose which one of the scripts that you want to become better at. Am I lacking in my FISBO? Great, so work on FISBO. Am I lacking on expired? I'll work on expired. Okay, so now the practice time for your scripts must absolutely be in your schedule. You know why?
So you don't book over it.
You don't book over it. And what happens when you're looking at your schedule?
You always remind me.
So about 2 weeks ago, one of the agents, I'm supposed to go see a client with her for a big land and stuff. So she says to me, "Are we still on for Thursday?" I said, "Is it in my schedule?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Yes, we're on for Thursday." So if it's in your schedule, what happens? You got to do it. But if it's not in your schedule, something else comes up, right? If you put a time in your schedule for practice and clarify what it is, like let's say you say Monday 8 to 8:30, I'm gonna practice pricing objections. Tuesday, I want to practice Tuesday from 8 to 8:30. I want to do for sale by owner script. You clearly mention what you're going to do, and then you come in at 8, and what do? If you believe that you are a business person, and if you believe that you are running a business, then what do you got to do? You got to do what you're supposed to be doing, which is in your schedule, which is Monday, practicing 8 to 8:30 pricing. Tuesday, today, was supposed to be FISBO, whatever, expired, they said. Okay. So you got to choose, and you have to write it in your schedule. If you write it in your schedule, it becomes real. Remember that, guys. When it's in your schedule, it's real. If a client says to you, "I want to visit tomorrow at 6 p.m., and you write it in your schedule, are you going to show up at 6 p.m.? Okay, so it's the same principle. If your boyfriend, girlfriend says to you, "Hey, we have dinner on Saturday morning or brunch on Saturday morning, and I want you to be there," and you don't put it in your schedule, are you going to remember it? Maybe you would. I wouldn't. I tell you that up front. I always screw up. If I don't have it in my schedule, I don't go. Man, I forgot. But if it's in my schedule, I can't screw it up. It's right here. It's in my face, right? So put it in your face, okay? Now remember this. Poor practicing, no matter how much you make. Okay, so if you're doing a poor practice, okay, so let's go back to tennis. If I was doing is it going to do anything? Am I ever going to become good at this? Ever? Coach? Will I ever be good at it like this? I'll never be good at tennis. I'll suck at tennis. No matter how much I have, no matter how many hours I put. So poor practice is worse than no practice. Poor practice is I don't play golf. And everybody says, "Fadi, why don't you play golf?" I said, "The minute I'm going to decide to play golf, I want to hire a coach. Because I know if I start playing golf alone, I'm going to screw it up, and then to repair my screw up is going to take me 10 times more efforts." So rather don't practice if you're going to practice poorly. If you're going to put in the energy, do it. If you're not going to put the energy, stay home. Just don't show up. It's better not to show up than to show up halfway through, okay? So now, one of the things that I suggest that you have is you must have different role play partners. So if you haven't, let's say, for example, you're doing FISBOs, well, have different partners with whom you're doing it. What the hell just happened? Okay. So have different role play partners. Why? Why is it important to have different role play partners?
Personality types.
Yeah, you could have the two. Yeah, obviously for personality types it helps a lot. But what if you had 2 analyticals, or 2 drivers, or 2 amiables, or 2 expressives as role play partners? Would that make any difference? So think of 2 drivers that you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and let's say you were role playing with I'm a driver. So let's say you were role playing with me. and who else?
Let's say Chloe.
Chloe. Okay, so you and Chloe, me and Chloe. Will we answer the same way?
No.
So it doesn't matter if they have a different person. Ideally, it's good to have different personality types, but it's not an obligation. Even if you have two expressives talking to you, they won't give you the same objection handlers. Okay, so the more role play partners you have, the better. So I'll tell you my schedule, and you guys can do whatever you want. When I used to do real estate full time, I had 5 mornings. Well, 5 days. It depends. Sometimes it was morning, sometimes the afternoon, but mostly in the morning. 5 mornings was the scripts. So I would practice the scripts. Okay. I had 3 half an hour a week for my pre-qualification. And 4 times a week, I would do my presentation, my listing presentation. Okay, that was my schedule. So people ask me, Fadi, pre-qual, Jesus, it's 1 script. It's 12 questions. Why did you need 3 hours, 3 times a week? I'll tell you something. My pre-qual is not only that script. My pre-qual was so deep, it would take me at least 10 minutes on the phone with a client. Normally, the pre-qual could take like 2 minutes. It's like, and you're done. But again, what did I say? I said you either do it intensely or not. In my case, every time I would get an answer, I would ask the questions why, and why, and why. So when I used to go with that, my why and when's, so I dig deeper into each question. The minute I had the appointment, 80% of the time I would go and sign it at the price that I wanted. Why? Because I knew exactly how she was thinking. She had no choice. She had no chance. And whoever's going to compete against me had no chance. You know what? Because before I even go, she already decided that it's going to be me. Why? Because of the quality of the questions that I was asking. Now imagine this, okay? So you got a guy that calls you up and says, so Stephanie, let me ask you this. So when we meet tonight at 6, if what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, would you list it tonight at 6?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. Okay, great. So now I know. But if I wanted to go deeper, my second question is what? So are you planning on interviewing any other agents for the sale of your home?
Yeah.
You are. So what do I know? She's going to list tonight. But she just screwed up by telling me she has other agents. All right. Interesting. So who are the agents that you're planning on interviewing? Now, is this in the script? No.
I'd rather not say.
Oh, that's cool. That's okay. What do they say normally? That's what they say. Right. Sometimes they tell you who the competition is. That's good. So can I ask you another question, Stephanie? So what are the 3 things, if you were to name 3 things, 3 qualities that you're looking for in an agent, which ones would they be?
Good negotiations.
Okay, let me write them down. So, good negotiation skills. Yeah. What's number 2?
Someone's gonna sell it fast.
Someone that will sell it fast. Number 3?
Accommodating and answers quickly.
Okay, so somebody that answers very, very quickly. Okay, that's amazing. So somebody that you can, call it
Call
anytime,
24/7.
24/7.
And you're there.
Yeah, he's there. So if I were the great negotiator, now if you find me as a great negotiator that answers my calls all the time. By the way, you called me like once or twice. Did I answer quick?
Mhm.
Yeah, and then you.
Yeah.
So are you planning on listing it with me tonight at 6?
I'll let you know at 5:30.
At 5:30? Okay, that's good. That's good enough. So what have I done? I've taken 1 question. How much did I drill that question? Right? Imagine if I'm going to do that with 12 of them. I'm going to drill the crap out of that person to understand everything that's going on in this mind, because the minute I'm going to show up in her having that conversation, the only thing she's going to be waiting for is he really as good as on the phone? It's the only question she's going to have in her mind. And when you kind of come in with a beautiful smile and shake your head and sit down, the listing is yours. Because the other guy or the other girl never did that stuff, never pre-qualified. So you see, it's very, very important that you understand that not only that you have to have a plan for your practice, but the intensity and the type of things you want to work on. So if you're having a hard time getting the prices to the level you need to be at, then practice that. If it's the marketing part, because you're dry like a wood, and they find you dry, then maybe it's what's on, whatever it is, right? We all have strength and we all have weaknesses. Let me tell you something. I'm a driver. Anybody knows what a driver is? In this, as a personality, they're the driest, they're the most rude human beings you will ever meet. You'll ask them a question, I'll say yes or no, right? Did you find me that way so far? No. Why? It's practice. Because I had to work on the things I wasn't good at. Okay? So this is the same thing for all of us. Okay? So you got to be all good at this. Can I get 2 more minutes? Thank you so much. Oh, sorry?
Only need 30 seconds.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, role play rules. 5, 6 of them. Write them down. The role play rules. Number 1. Show up on time for your role play. Show up on time, Michael, for your role play. Did I say that out loud? Did it come? So sorry. I didn't mean. Did I watch or I didn't? You're always on time. You're good. No, you're good. Okay, number 2. Eliminate small talks. Hi, hey Hamza, how are you? I'm doing good. How about you? Well, I'm doing good. Oh my gosh, I see you have a Starbucks. Stop that crap. Stop that shit, please. Like, just get to the point. Hello, Hamza. Yes, my name is Fadi Kaouk. I'm a real estate agent with RLPDQ. Boom, I'm already started. I'm not going to wait and waste time. I don't think Nadal would come and say, okay, guys, so how are the balls? He's not going to do that shit. He's going to say, okay, let's go. Right? He's going to start. I'm not going to waste time. So it's the same with you guys. Okay? Don't eliminate the small talks and the complaining and the whining. Oh my God, there was so much traffic there. I don't give a shit. Just move on. Think of it. Become a driver for a minute. It's fine. Okay, number 3. Stay on script. I'm going to repeat. Stay on what?
Script.
Stay on what?
Script.
Stop imagining shit. You have a script. Follow it. Follow it. Just stay on it. Don't let anybody get you off the script. Let me give you guys a trick. All right. So when I would list a property, I would take my script with me and I'd say, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I have some very important questions that I wrote down. Is it okay if I ask them now? What are they expecting me on? Read. I wrote them down, so I'm going to read. That was my script. I would read. I don't have to reimagine the wheel every time. But when somebody would get me off track, analyticals and expressives will always try to get you off track. Analyticals is to demonstrate how smart they are, and the expressives is to just talk for fun, okay? Because they love to talk. When they actually try to get me off track, what I used to do is I would polite. I have to be polite. I didn't have that patience. I learned it. So let's say I was reading. I would say, okay. I put my pen where my question was, and then I would listen. I'd smile, and when they're done, I say, interesting. And then I would go on with my question. They need to get that letter. Make them feel what? Important. They need to feel comfortable and important. But they wouldn't get me off my script. So don't get off your script. If somebody tries to throw you a curveball, just smile, nod. That's interesting. Okay, I can see that. I see where you're going with this. Okay. So let me ask you, and then you go back to your script. That's very important, guys. When you're practicing, this is very, very important because the people you're talking to are people you know. Very easy to distract you. Very easy to tell you, oh my God, the 13 this morning. What time did you take? Oh shit, it was. What's that? Where's the production of this? Nowhere. Okay. Number 4. Make the role play as real as possible in terms of response. Don't say stupidities. When you're the seller, don't say dumb shit. Say what a real seller would say. Like don't just say, you know, like like the best objections I always get, you know who they come from? You guys. You give me all kinds of crap that makes no sense. Not even a single buyer or seller would ever say. And you know who gives them to me more? The ones that have been in business so long. And I would ask, so how long? When's the last time you heard that objection? Never. Why are you bringing up crap that makes no sense? What does the seller want? He wants to know how fast you're going to sell it, at what price, and what are you going to do for me? That's what they want to know. They don't care about you know how long you've been in business. They don't really give a shit. They could be in business for 1 week or 1 year or 10 years. They don't care. Can he sell my house? Will he sell it at my price or whatever price we agree? And how long does it take? That's what a seller wants, right? He's going to give you these objections. He's not going to tell you, okay, so let me ask you this. If it's raining outside and the buyers come in and they don't have an umbrella, do I still open the door? Like, they're not going to say shit like that, but who comes up with that? Brokers. Okay. Number 5. Give honest, and take the word honest, underline it many times. Give honest feedback to each other. So, amiables. Who's an amiable here? Amiables. It's okay if you're rude. Okay, any amiables here? I'm trying to see what you. Yeah. It's okay to be rude. It's not a bad thing. But don't be too rude. Like say, look, Hamza, it was good. But you know what? When I told you about the price, you blocked. You could not, you know, I heard it. I heard you were not comfortable. Next time, work on that. Or when you asked me the first question, Michelle, you know, if what you say makes sense and you feel comfortable. When I said no, you choked and I heard it. Don't do that. Give honest feedback to each other. Okay, very important. Number 6. I'm going to repeat it in every class. Eliminate the ego. Always. What is ego? Anybody can tell me what ego is?
I'm right. You're wrong.
Ego is you're right. You believe you're right. Ego is who is he to tell me this? Who is she to tell me that? Ego is the enemy of everything. Of everything. The minute you have a belief, you have an ego. The minute you have any belief, you have an ego. Because beliefs give you the tendency of thinking that you're right. Think about it. Every time you had a belief, think of it that way, okay? Michelle calls Fadi and says, hey dude, what are you doing Saturday night? Would you like to go out for a beer? Fadi says, yeah. And then Fadi calls him, maybe at 5, and says, look man, I'm not going to make it. He had expectations. He expected to see Fadi for a beer on Saturday, and now all his plans are down the drain. He's angry. Right? Who's he angry at? He's angry at Fadi. Does Fadi know? No. Why he's angry? He's angry at himself. He's angry because he had beliefs. I'm going to be with Fadi. We're going to go for beer. It's going to be, right? And it didn't happen. Whose ego that was bruised? Mine? Not really. I didn't show up. His. Why? Because he had expectations. But what if expectations is something that is very, very hard to get rid of? Okay? It's based on beliefs. I can't believe that. I told him it's been 1 week when we planned it. See the word? I don't believe that. That's ego. Or he could have turned around and said, oh, you can, man, no problem. Fuck it, I'm going to find something else. I'll go out by myself, have a drink by myself, or call John, or call Stephanie, or call, Gabriel. So ego, my friends, ego is the hardest thing to get rid of, and it's the most important thing to get rid of. Because ego will always, 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 always stand in the way of your success. Every time you say, I can't believe, remember Fadi, I just told you it's your ego that can do it. Because in reality, you should believe it. It is what it is. Okay? So, any questions?
So the last point, you need to have expectation or not?
No? Oh, hold on. When you're going on a listing presentation? Yeah. But how do you build that expectation? You build it based on conversations. But if you don't get the listing, you cannot get it you can't let it get to you. Because a lot of times this is what would happen. You would go on I'll give you an example. So I would go on, let's say, 10 listing appointment, I would sign 8 of them. There's 2, no matter what I would say, I would not sign. No matter what it was. Okay? So I could take it with an ego. Really? Really? What? This idiot, he said like 900,000. This other agent, like, really, man, it's not worth more than 700. That's ego. Right? And then it's negative. Ego is always negative. Or you can just say, okay, man, no problem, Mr. Hamza, move on. Next. I'll find another guy that's going to sell. Right? That's removing your ego. So yeah, I had expectations to go get the listing, but I didn't let the expectations affect me. Follow me? Does it make sense? Okay. Any other questions?
How many personalities were there? So there's drivers,
Cuatro.
analyticals,
Analyticals,
yeah,
drivers,
yeah.
expressives, and amiables. And you're going to learn all that stuff. Yeah, we're going to teach you all that. We're going to teach you how to look at somebody and say, Sarah is amiable. Gabriel is a driver. You're going to learn that. You're going to learn these tricks. Okay? Any other questions? Any questions online? Online, no questions? Nada? Okay, good. So, for the ones that know Sabina, you're welcome. And the ones that don't know Sabina, she's awesome.
Thank you,
listen to
thank
her.
you, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, guys. I'm Sabina. Nice to see you faces always, and first-time faces. Everybody is always welcome. I am the director of the services department at RLPDQ. We offer services to our brokers. When you're starting off and you start to pick up the business, you're going to need some extra help. You may not have time to prepare your CMAs or to upload a broker load. So our department offers those services in-house. Obviously, it's pay as you go through the plan. But at least we have the facility. So when you're ready to vehicle level to have your own event, great. Or you might just love our services so much that you want to continue. So you have the option to at least have that support. Very quickly, 2 little things. If you want to know, once you're official, you guys have access, but all the services we offer are on the services website. And you can also come see me, book some time if you want to go through that. 2 little things today. Everybody who is currently your broker, we do have a corporate insurance plan where you're transferring to a new plan. So for those of you who are wondering, I know everybody's asking, your current plans, if you are enrolled with Desjardins, are active. You can make your claims. Everything is great until July 31st. There is nothing that you have to do to cancel your policy with Desjardins. However, you do have to fill up the form and send it directly to info@odysseydirect.com. And if you don't know where to find that, on the second page, which you also have to sign in the application, both pages, at the bottom, you'll see the email address, and of course, you can ask any of us. Second little thing, just a gentle reminder, guys, we are under renovations in the back. I know it's really exciting and it is really has a lot of people curious, but please don't open the doors and go inside because it is dangerous. They sometimes go to the bathroom and they forget to lock it, but please, we're asking everybody to not go inside because things are falling, things are on the floor, and it's not safe. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thanks. Okay, any other questions? We're good?
Yeah.
I wish you a great day.
Thank you very much.
Have fun.
Thank you so much, Fadi.
You're doing good work. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You can find it on the website.